I knew that I wanted to be a vet when I was about 11. Kids at school would bully me for that. My maths and English teachers, they felt like it was a sort of a waste of talent. They didn't believe this was a career for black people. It was so unpopular that we were only 7 out of 140, only 7 blacks. The most I felt the racism was when I was at university and also when I worked. There was one time I had to go to the lectures and I took my friends. I was like, look, we answered the same. It came back, but no explanation. But now it's marked correctly. Like I was born during that apartheid. What I experienced was the effects of it. I think my parents obviously were the ones that were more affected. Now you have parents that are not educated. Like I think my mom wanted to be a nurse. My dad wanted to be a lawyer. It can be emotionally like taxing and draining. I didn't plan to have water for thank you. So they pushed me because they didn't want me to end up like them. It gets me emotional because I think my dad played a big role in making me a hardworking person, although here it's a bit subtle compared to in South Africa, it's black and white, like, no, you're not touching my animal. I always feel like it's small-mindedness that causes that. This does not determine what is inside the head. In South Africa, I went to castrate a horse, and then one farmer was like, is the vet coming? I was so confused. I'm the vet. He's like, you are the vet. It's like, no, man, I need a man. And then I went on to becoming a deputy director.
So I follow you on TikTok and I see how you make vets so
Yes.
fun. And I saw how you went close to the
Yeah.
deer, started feeding it, and I'm like, wow.
I enjoy being outside, I enjoy hiking. And I had joined BSA, which is the hiking group, and that gave me that community. First of all, thank you for inviting me as well. It's an honor to tell, my journey. And so it's very long, but I'll try to keep it short. So yeah, I knew that I wanted to be a vet when I was about 11. I think my family generally like had the love for animals, but we come from a black community where you don't know anything about being a vet. So my parents were domestic workers, and the lady that my mom used to work with she's the one who, I think I was playing with one of her dogs, and then she said, your daughter is so good with animals, she should be a vet. And I was like, me and my mom were, she should be a vet. We just didn't know what she meant with that. But when I went back home, I used to watch Sesame Street, right? So this will give away my age as well because there's no more Sesame Street. But so I used to watch that, and then there was this career thing the kids were doing, and then one child came and said, "Want to be a veterinarian," and then I, and then it clicked. She said something vet, and then this is the word. So somehow maybe my mind was a bit smarter. I kind of felt those two things, they sound similar, but I've never heard of a veterinarian. But it looks so interesting. But this kid is wearing like a doctor, and they're carrying a dog, and I like animals. So I was like, which job is this where you are carrying animals to work? I want to do it. And then my brothers are like 9 years and 7 years older than me. So when I'm 11, they are like in their late teenage years, right? So they were already using English dictionary. So I knew there's this book at home that we used to find big English words. So I asked my brother, like, please, can you help me look for a word? Is a word called veterinary something? I don't know. And we looked, my brother was annoyed, but he was helping me look. He was like, is it veteran? Is it this? And then like we kept going, but then eventually I was like, yeah, that's the one. And then we like just read the definition. And I said, I think that day, that's when I said, that's what I want to be. And then it made sense now what she was saying, that I'm good with animals, she should be a vet, and also me realizing all of this by myself. So yes, from there, like I found on my early stages of education, like in high school, I experienced a lot of like bullying because of that. Because now I was like out about it, like I'm gonna be a vet, but this is something so strange in the black community, like a doctor for animals. You're gonna treat dogs, like kids at school bully me for that. My maths and English teachers, they felt like it was a sort of a waste of talent because they see you like being an engineer because you're good with maths or whatever subjects that we were doing at that time. And they thought, no, we should get you like a sponsorship. You will be like an engineer. And I remember them coming to my parents' house to tell my parents, because there was, there was this a sponsorship that wanted to sponsor like kids for
Yeah.
like engineering and all that. And then my parents, they just said, well, here in this house we don't tell anyone like what to do, because once we pass away they'll be left, you know, by themselves, and they need to be happy with what they do. That's one moment I feel proud of my parents, because if they said yes to those teachers, because first of all didn't have the money to take me to uni, so even though they were saying no to this sponsorship, they still didn't have like a plan of how they were going to take me. Being a vet, is it a good career? We don't know. Me, I want to do it because I love animals. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life. So, you know, in the Black community, it's more like it must be a doctor, a lawyer. Is that one
Engineer.
of those like top 3 careers if you are, you know, if you are a child from a Black family. So my parents, I'm proud of them. Those were the first people. Then I would say they helped me to continue in that journey. So yeah, going then to uni was another step. I didn't have a problem with getting enrolled because, like I said, I was doing so well in school. And then I got into veterinary medicine. But it was so unpopular that we were only 7 out of 140 students in class, only 7 blacks. And in South Africa, you know, you've got a huge problem with racism, right? So sometimes you will experience that whilst at school, and you are just like, I just want to get this, get this degree and get out. I'm not here to, you know, to fight for anything. Let me just get out. Like, please mark me, like, you know, fairly, you know, because sometimes you feel like the marking will be unfair as towards, you know, the black students. But yeah, so after then I qualified as a vet through all those challenges. Maybe a story for another day, the challenges there, but anyone will face challenges when you're at uni. Then when I started working in South Africa, I worked as a state veterinarian. So yeah, I think it was one of those things you were sort of expected to go serve the community, but I have a heart of service as well. So it was kind of natural for me to drift to that direction anyway. So I went to doing state veterinarian for about 3 years. Then I went on to becoming a deputy director. So of the state, so basically now you're running a region, managing other vets, because we had state vet clinics.
Yep.
So now I went to that level where I managed the state vet clinics in that region. Now this is where I found a bit of challenges, a little bit, because it became more administrative work than being a vet, like all hands-on. Yeah. So, and I'm someone who's like active. I want to be hands-on. So this felt like it was
They're taking out of your.
yeah. It felt like I can see the other vets working, but me, I'm here directing the show. Like, you here, you here. I'm like, also I want to be there, but I guess someone had to take up that role. And one of my mentors who really believed in me is the one who said, yeah, you can do this, you know, you can do it. And I think I did it well, though with challenges, and I will speak about them later. But yeah, with challenges, but those challenges, I think they've helped me grow a lot. Then yes, it got to a point where I felt like I wanted to grow, but as a vet, not in the administrative part of being a vet, right? So that's when I was like, I always like to challenge myself to grow, and I wanted to explore now. I was like, how is it being a vet? I feel like I spent 5 years, I've given at least enough to my community. And because, you know, in our communities, there's a lot of animal abuse. And when you're someone who loves animals, it's tough every day to, you know, see animals being abused. So it can be emotionally like taxing and draining. So I kind of was like, I wonder how it's like being a vet somewhere where, you know, people know how to, you know, look after their animals. You don't need to teach them. And I just wanted to maybe grow and explore how, whether I worked in New Zealand or somewhere else, but the UK seemed more aligned with South Africa when it came to my career. For Nigerians and other African countries, other institutions that you can train to be a vet, unfortunately you have to write the board exam, so that's the difficult part. So that's why for me, I came to the UK because I didn't have to. like I explained, like the qualification is similar, the one in South Africa and here. So they monitor the one in South Africa to be same, so that we still do not need to write the board exams. But yes, I have friends that are in South Africa now. They are working, but they want to come to the UK, but they trained in Zimbabwe, so they need to write board. Even though you've worked in South Africa, no, you trained in Zimbabwe, so you will need to go write the board exams, and then so you have to be registered to work in the UK, but you have to meet their requirements of the passing the board exams first. I then started planning to travel abroad because I wanted to explore my career. So that's how I ended up in the UK. And I've been here then for 5 years, and I work for corporate here, which is very different from working for the state. Working for the state, you didn't have to worry about generating income. You just tell the government, look, I'm wanting drugs, I'm going to service this community, and you just need reason, like provide them with reasons, and they give you the budget for it. Whereas for corporate, it's different. You have to generate the income to to get what you want. So it's been that kind of a journey. So I've been a vet now for 11 years. The 5 years I've been a vet, it's been here in the UK. So
Wow,
that's been my journey.
That's really interesting, actually. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, you had mentioned that you had initially faced a certain level of bullying, rejection from people knowing that you are studying vet of all courses. Was that the period of when apartheid was still heavy in South Africa? How were you able to navigate that era?
Yeah. Well, I was not really like born, or like I was born during that apartheid, but I was still too young, I think, to understand it, like what was going on. I think my parents obviously were the ones that were more affected. Us as kids were just like, oh, you're not supposed to go there, and you just don't go. But I didn't really, I wouldn't say I experienced it fully whilst I was an adult. What I experienced was the effects of it, the after effects of it, because your parents, when they're not allowed to go to school, then that affects you. Now you have parents that are not educated. You have parents that could have just ended with my parents saying, you're not going there. It could have been like, that's it. And so that part, I always feel like it gets me emotional because I think my dad played a big role in making me a hardworking person, because he always he was one of those hard to please people. You get 98 in school, now where's the 2%? Go get the 2%. So he was, I feel like most like African parents are like that.
Yep.
My mom, she would celebrate even 50%. She would be like, oh, you deserve chocolate, my child. Oh, you work so hard. Meanwhile, this guy here is telling me I should fetch the 2%. So it was so hard to please that it actually pushed me to work hard. So that's why I was saying some of these things is just how I was raised up as well. So at school, the bullying was just kids. I would say kids being kids. They will always look for something to use to bully you. It was never heard of, and kids would like say things that are traumatic about, knowing that I will cry. So, for example, one child story I always remember. One child like sat next to me, and they said, "Oh, my cat gave birth, and then we flushed the kittens down the toilet." So they said this so that I can cry, because they used to say all those kind of things. And then, when it was like summer season, the boys will go like, shoot birds like with a sling. And I'll be following boys like, please don't shoot the birds. Don't take. And they will, like they will poke the nest because they want the eggs. And I'll be there like, what if someone comes to your house and pokes and demolishes your house? Like, don't do it. So that was just the childhood part of it. I would say that's every, you sort of experience a bit of bullying as a child anyway. But yes, my teachers as well, they didn't believe this was a career for Black people. They believe that it's a white man's career. Like, why this girl? Like, what she know about this? And I think one teacher was like, look, the salary is not even, be an engineer, be a human doctor. And I was like, no, I want to be a vet. It's like, your parents don't even have the money because there's no sponsorship for this. So that's why my teachers were trying to convince my parents to let me do engineering. So I think they thought if my parents don't agree, then definitely I I'll have to do what my parents told me. But thank God my parents were backing up, or they were standing solid. I can think it was challenging for my parents too. Can you imagine? There's a scholarship here. It's got everything. The school will be paid, food will be paid, and then there's this one where it's just passion. That is sponsoring it, but there's no money. We know where she's gonna leave for school. And I was going to study away from home. Like I said, it's only one institution in South Africa, and it's in Pretoria. It trains vets. That's why they can take only 140 students at the time. But because of the South African, after the apartheid system, they were trying now to equalize things. So the government had made this institution to give them a rule that 40% needs to be blacks at least, right? But we didn't even make the four, because imagine 7 out of 140 students. They were still, the part of it was given back to because it was very popular career like with white people. So a lot of whites, they struggled to get in. So when you got in, they think for us maybe it was as challenging as for them. It's because us, we needed to meet that 40%. So there was space for a black person, but we still needed to meet the mark by the qualification of like meeting the requirements. At school, a vet school, this is where now you can feel the racism is still there in South Africa, even though we are no longer in that apartheid period, but the racism was still there. The effects of it, especially now in these high institutions of white people, because this institution is owned by white people, and also how dare you be a black person want to be a vet. And I would say in South Africa, and I think I can feel it here as well, white people, they regard veterinarians as the most smartest. It's the career of smart people. So how dare you be a black person and you think you're smart to be a vet, So the challenge is there first. It's like you constantly have to prove yourself. Even when I was working as a vet, if you are going to a white farmer's, farm, and you are treating that, you already have to know you can't make a mistake, because if anything, it's because you are black. They are stupid. They are this. You are not capable enough, basically. So the most I felt the racism was when I was at university and also when I worked. But you learn to grow thick skin. You learn to understand how to not let it affect you, and just keep your professionalism. But yes, also working 10 times harder probably than your white, like your white fellow veterinarian, because they don't need anything to prove. And then you need to prove that I'm a smart black and I'm a very qualified veterinarian. So yeah, because I remember you end up being friends with whites. So it helped me to have white friends in vet school. I would study with them. Literally, we studied together. We're probably going to answer things the same way. But then when they see my paper, I'm like, we wrote the same thing. Why is mine marked less than yours? So there was one time I had to go to the lectures and I took my friends. I was like, look, we answered the same. It's just the order is different. And then he's like, okay, let me look at it. And then that's when it came back, but no explanation. But now it's marked correctly. So what was that before? Like, why did you not mark me correctly?
Thriving in a specialized field as a minority. So first of all, you're black.
Yes.
Female. Like
signature.
Exactly. So like, how dare you be black? How dare you be a lady veterinary?
Exactly.
So I follow you on TikTok and I see how you make vets so fun. Like I see how you do your great content with. And I'm like, this is really interesting.
Yeah. I'm probably just, I would say I'm just representing blacks in that space. It's just so people can kind of have an idea that there are black people in veterinary medicine as well, and we are successful, we are doing well in there. It's a nice way of also, helping clients and pets as well, is giving people, education about how to, to manage their pets at home. Because some things don't always need to go to the vet, and with the economic times we're in, you can save some pennies if you actually just do a few things at home with your pet before you need a vet.
So last year we went to, was it Glencoe? And I saw how you went close to the
Yeah.
deer, started feeding it, and I'm like, wow. I couldn't do that because I was taking a video of it
You're
from
like,
afar.
from far.
I was like, don't come close to me. And you literally went close to the
Yeah.
deers and started feeding them. And I don't know how you have this good relationship with animals. Like, they felt so at peace. Even there was a sign that was like, don't go too
Don't go
close to the
close, don't
deer. And you're
feed.
like, nah, don't worry, they'll be fine with me.
Yeah.
And you went close to them and started feeding them. Like, this is really
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, how?
Why is she not scared?
Exactly, you're not scared. Even the deers, they're not
Yeah.
harmful. They just came close
Yeah.
and they're feeding off your palm. And for me, since that time, I was like, man, it feels like it's a calling for you
Yeah.
to be able to do that without anything. And I saw you feeding the ducks, and I'm like, wow.
So those deers, they were not, you know, I knew that they were wild, but I knew they were also tame because they're so used to having people around them. They are always used to being fed. So I knew that it was safe to approach, but I also needed to still remain cautious because a wild animal is a wild animal at the end. It's his instincts, might, because at some point it used its horn to because it wanted me to give it more food. And it was using, it was like, was poking me. I was like, I don't have any more carrot, man. So this is why they always advise don't feed the wild animals because they can attack if you don't have anything. Because now they are demanding it because you're supposed to have it.
Oh.
So yeah, so I went there knowing, for me naturally I'm drawn to animals. So I always want to pet an animal, but I also approach cautiously, because even dogs, they can be aggressive. And now sometimes people will put reflectors on their dogs that do not pet or something like that. Yeah, so yeah, it's good to have that knowledge because I feel like if I didn't have it, sometimes I could maybe do things. I could just go and put myself in danger, So it's nice to have that knowledge of knowing what to look out for when it means danger. So always approach the horse from the left, make it see you, touch it from the left, and then you move along. Same as cats. If a cat is wagging its tail, it's not happy like a dog. You see dog wagging its tail, it's happy. That one you approach. But cat wagging its tail, it means I'm getting annoyed with you. Maybe you are too much in my space. You are touching me too much. And same as that posture, they're trying to make them big, like themselves big. So they will hunch their back. They will flare their, their coat. So they puff up their coat because they're trying to make them big to you. But they tend to do that one more when they are fighting with another animal or trying to intimidate the other animal. Right? Same as dogs. Some dogs don't growl because we are so used to growling and all that. But there's something we call snarling, where they show you teeth. Like, look, I got teeth. They'll do this like, they'll just be like, look, I got teeth. If you come any closer, okay? And also, I think because most people have dogs, they can read dogs now that are, fearful or about to bite them. But yeah, if a dog snarls at you, because sometimes they don't do the growling. Their tail is tucked, as well means they are scared of you, and sometimes they do that bowing position. That means I'm submissive, I'm scared. So there's a submissive scared, but then because also they are protective of themselves, they will snarl please, I'm nice, but I don't want to have to use my teeth on you. Leave me alone.
So many animals, because they can't talk, so they have to.
They can't talk, so they use obviously body line. If you are crossing boundaries, then you will get, you get the beating. So it's good to have that knowledge. So I try to let my friends know, but how do you know this dog is not, it's not gonna bite you? Maybe for me it naturally comes now as as second nature because I work with them all the time. So I've been trained also to take cues from their body language of okay, now they are scared. I don't want to interfere into their their space, into their come too close. So you learn those things so that you can stay safe to work with them. And yes, push comes to shove and we still need to work, but this animal is not really allowing you. You have to give it a muzzle. So that means you close the sharp end. That is dangerous. And sometimes we always say it's chemical warfare.
You're in Aberdeen before you moved down. What made you move from Aberdeen down to
Yes. So yeah, coming here, I came through. There's a shortage of vets in this country, first of all. So I came through agency, like they were recruiting vets, and that's how I came through. So I didn't know anything about Scotland. So the vacancy that I went for was mixed vet practice. That's what I was doing in South Africa. I was a mixed vet. So being a mixed vet means basically you treat farm animals, dogs and cats, except probably for wildlife. So I came because that vacancy was for mixed. Other ones were like only just small animals, they were only just farm animals. So I wanted to still be a mixed vet. I liked having that all round skill. Although sometimes they say jack of all trades is a master of none, but it's very nice to have that. So Aberdeen, because it's more like farming area as well. So I went there first. When I got there, I realized how cold it was in this country, and I'm not going outside to help a cow give birth. I was just like, I don't want to do it. So I did kind of drift away from it. I think I did it for 6 months, and then I drifted away. I talked to my manager and said, I think I'll be okay indoors in this country. I'm okay to give up on helping farm animals. Then I I had some challenges when it came to balancing life here and work. I I had a challenge of being a perfectionist and overworking. So I wanted to always be there for my clients all the time, for the patient, and I felt that led to burnout because I wasn't balancing. On the weekend, I'll come into work even when I was not working. I'll try to be calling the client, oh, how's Fluffy now? Things like that. So when you get into that burnout, you realize that you need to balance. It's not always about work, right? As much as for me, it doesn't feel like it's any work. It doesn't feel so strenuous, but it was strenuous for my body and my mental health. So I then had to remember that I enjoy being outside, I enjoy hiking. But Aberdeen was a bit far from a lot of hiking areas. And I had joined a BSA, which is the hiking group, and that gave me that community of like black people that look like me that also do hiking. So, but because most of the hikes were down south and I built this community, then I felt, no, I want to move closer so that I can still do my work, but at the same time have a community. And because I didn't have any family in the UK, I still don't have. So the community, the friends I made out of that hiking group, they also probably motivated in a way without them saying it, but I felt so connected that I want to be close to the hiking areas. I want to be close to people I can visit. So that's why, yeah, the move from Aberdeen to here. Yeah, but I could have stayed in Aberdeen. It's just that I wasn't really striking the balance so well there. I would have to drive 4 hours just to come for, and then 4 hours back. If I need to maybe spend the night, then I'll have to spend money. So I just felt it made sense to relocate a bit south, and then
That's good. Thank you for coming down south and
yeah.
giving us the vibes on our BSA heights.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So what's with you and was it a thing that you did back home? Did you pick it up in Scotland?
Yeah.
And what was this for you?
So when I was in South Africa, I used to hike, but it was more like, it's also in groups, right? Because of safety. It was more for safety. It's better to be in a group than, it was not necessarily to build community. It was better to hike in a group for safety. So I was doing a bit of that in South Africa, and I'm a energetic person. I'm hyped, so I always needed to do that at home because I needed a way to channel my energy into. But coming here to Scotland, it was not something that I did instantly. When I got here, I started looking for where I could hike. No, it came because of the profession is very challenging in the sense that it's very emotionally taxing. It's also physically demanding. It's also time demanding. You spend lots of hours working on a case, trying to, resolve. Sometimes you wake up at night thinking, what's wrong with that dog? I haven't fixed it yet. So this is where sometimes you can be overly emotionally involved with a case, and with time I've learned to balance that as well, not to take work home, because taking work home doesn't mean like physically, but it can be you carrying it emotionally or carrying it mentally. You are thinking, you are researching, you are reading as well. So I then like felt like drained a little bit emotionally, and me looking for that balance when I was hitting that burnout, that's when I remembered I like hiking. I used to hike in South Africa, and I was somehow sharing how I was feeling with one of my colleagues I was close to. And then she one day invited me, like, let's go for a hill walk like this weekend. And then when I went, I didn't think I would enjoy it because of how cold Scotland is. And I was like, no, like I don't want to go outside because it's cold. And then we went, oh my goodness, like it was like she opened a door for me.
Wow.
So I went just once more. I called Benaki when I was up in Aberdeen. So we went to Benaki. That was my first hike in Scotland, and I enjoyed it. So the next weekend, I was like, where are we going? Where next? Where are we walking next? And yeah, she introduced me then to an app called All Trails, and I was finding local walking areas. So yes, the hiking then was like an outlet for me. It was a way to disconnect, to connect, if it makes sense. It was a way of me realizing also I'm more than my profession. As much as I feel called to do this. I feel like I could, even if I were to restart life, I feel like I would still choose to be a vet, or I'll still end up probably being a vet. Even if I didn't want to choose it, I probably would be drawn towards it. So when I then felt that I didn't want to feel drained by my work, because I really love my work, so I wanted to come back refreshed, and that going outdoors, doing hiking, it gave me that disconnect, but to connect with myself, and then I can come back and be fully present for clients. I can be fully present for my patients, not being too drained and too tired. So I think that's why I always want to find an opportunity to go outdoors. As I don't know, everyone who's been outdoors cannot explain what it is. It's just there is something when you're outside that is, like, is calming, is refreshing. It heals something inside you. It's grounding, if I can put it that way. So it's grounding, and it almost sort of presses a reset button for you. And then when you go back to the busy life, the demand of the job, then you feel a bit refreshed and a bit more able to tackle the new challenges again. So yes, so I take every chance, especially now with the summer, I take every chance to go outside. Even like in the local park in my community, I'll go and just have coffee there and sit. Rather than me having coffee in the house, I'll just take a walk and take my coffee there. But yes, so everybody will probably find something that they can use as an outlet. So for me, it has been being in nature, being outside, and I'm glad I also found a community of Black people that are like me, that also, enjoy the outdoor spaces.
Being a vet back in South Africa, did it have any impact? Or okay, maybe you couldn't get some
Or you
certain
couldn't, like,
jobs, or maybe
yeah,
you went for student somewhere and they didn't allow you to touch their animals because your skin color. And did that really have any impact?
It did, for sure. Because I can say in the office, in the field, with colleagues, so it's like I can maybe like break it down, like how it had an impact in all those different areas. So I would say at first in the office, right? So you have maybe white colleagues that are also vets, and you find that if there's an assignment to do, they'll look for their fellow first white, and you think I'm also capable of doing that same thing. Why haven't they not? They will go upstairs, downstairs, looking for that one person, and you realize that it's they're looking for their fellow white. Because they can never say it exactly to your face. Like, we've learned to assume as well that it's probably because they think I'm not capable enough, because that's how we feel they think about us, is that they don't think maybe we are qualified enough, or you are qualified but maybe you are not good enough to do the job. So it will start there, where some assignments might miss you, and it will go to luckily, I didn't really have a passion to become a wildlife vet. So in South Africa, wildlife is very more white dominated. I think I only know one black vet that I went to school with. He was in my class. And even I salute him. I'm like, how did you penetrate into that space, first of all, because it's a tough area to go into. So he started by being like an assistant of another vet. And then now imagine being an assistant of a vet, but you're actually a vet yourself.
Wow.
So that's how he started. So it's it 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 became an area where I knew even if I wanted to, that area I won't even get to. So imagine if then I was interested in it, it would be challenging to get into it. Then yes, when it came to clients, even here in the UK, I also feel like I still experience it, although here it's a bit subtle compared to in South Africa, it's black and white, like, no, you're not touching my animal. It's straightforward like that. It's sometimes, the comedians in South Africa, they're always like, in South Africa, the racism is straightforward. It's not sugar-coated. It doesn't sound like, is it not? It's very like straightforward. So sometimes you still get people that the white people that were in that apparatus, so they still carry that kind of racism. Whilst the generation now is also becoming a bit more subtle, it's there because they've been raised by those like pure racists. But now they are realizing as well that it's not something that's really fair. So when you are a vet in a mixed community, you find it's easier to help your black fellow people, but when it came to white fellow people, then they see you coming out of the consult room. Okay, can I have Fluffy next? Like, okay, like this one is a vet, not are you the vet? It's almost like you have to produce a qualification before you touch the animal. Like, yes, did you go to Ondesteport, which is the only institution in South Africa that trains vets? If then you say yes, you went to Ondesteport, okay, they kind of now you are warming up to them. But I don't know, for me, I have a like actually for racist, because I always feel like it's small-mindedness that causes that. And in that 15 minutes I have with them, I'm like, I want to prove to you that this does not determine what is inside the head, right? So I always like, and I don't know, I have this confidence that they're going to like me at the end of this consult. So I get them in, I can tell they are doubting, they are a bit worried, me holding their animal, and I'll have to like gently like, okay, can put them down, things like that. And then if at the end of the consult, they will say, oh, what's that vet I saw? Can I see them again next time? Like, yeah, that's what, that was my goal. Yeah, but as much as now I have, I have learned to deal with it that way. It's still not nice to have to prove yourself. Yes, because it always feels like when you're about to treat a white person's pet or animal, you have to prove yourself. It's even worse than coming to farm animals, because these are more highly valued because they're production animals and they're insured, some of them. So any mistake, because I remember in South Africa, I once went to castrate a horse, and then one farmer was like, is the vet coming? I was so confused. I'm the vet. It's like, you are the vet. It's like, no, man, I need a man. I need, like, so there was already the sexism as well there, where I'm not good enough, probably because I'm also female and I'm black. So this horse is taller than me, first of all, and now I'm also black. Do I know what I'm doing? So those are the questions like he asked me, do you know what you do? Have you done this before? And I'm thinking, why would I be here if I didn't know what I was coming to do? If I didn't know, I've learned to approach my colleagues if I know that I've not done this before, or I've done it once. Can you come and assist me? Can you come and do it with me? So I'm not shy now to ask for help when I need it. So if I had known that I was not capable of doing that job, I wouldn't have gone to do it. But yeah, so you learn to navigate those spaces, even though you feel that it shouldn't be like that. You should not need to feel like you need to produce your qualification, Once you know that this is a career path you want to go into, you know that you first of all need to be a hard worker to get into the veterinary medicine, because I feel that it is more difficult than human medicine because you don't only learn about one species. Whilst in humans, you might learn about one species, right? Because it's a human species, but it comes in different races. So there might be medical differences in how to treat a black person medically compared to white. Whilst in animals, there is a cat, a dog, a horse, and this. Even with cats, there's different breeds. Even with dogs, there's different breeds. So in just the cat, let's say for example, in just cats, you get different breeds. All these breeds, they have different conditions. So this is why it can be a bit challenging to study veterinary medicine. It took me 7 years. That's how long it takes in South Africa, but they've cut it down now. Here in the UK, so you have to be prepared for that long studying, the hard work in there. Sometimes you may lose a bit of social life just to get to the end. So once you are prepared to be hardworking and you love the job, another thing that I realized, and sometimes I was blessed to at least have people skills, because most people think they go into vet thinking they will just be dealing with pets. You'll just be cuddling pets all day. I feel like I only cuddle a dog actually once a day. When I tried, I forced myself, and then like I need a hug from a dog. But what I'm trying to say is that it's not necessarily the way it looks outside, because you are dealing mostly with sick animals. You are dealing with stressed clients. They want their animal to be better. They're paying a lot of money for this. So you have to have good people skills. So that's something I work on myself daily as well. But naturally, I feel that I've been blessed to be an empath, and I have good, people skills. So I tend to empathize a lot. I'm very good at listening to, because most clients, they want to be listened to. They want someone to hear, this is my problem, and this is how I want it to be fixed quick, and then helping them understand the journey to fixing it, then they can calm down as well. So you have to have the people skills, you have to be hardworking. And now when it comes to working actually as a vet, you have to be prepared for the long hours, the demand of the job as well. In building the confidence of the patient and the client on you, you have to first believe in yourself. So for me, sometimes I forget I'm black actually. I only remember when I'm sitting in the middle. Actually, I'm the only black person here in this room, right? And I think maybe at some point it gives me a bit of a sense of pride that I'm in this space, and the level of respect I receive is the same as my other colleagues now.
Your journey is actually very inspiring, it's very honest, because you've literally thrived. Your success so far, what will you attribute it to?
For me, I would say maybe, okay, let me say I can attribute not only to professional development, because every time you have to be educating yourself, improving your skills. In our field as well, we've got something called continuous profession. So you constantly have to study, because things are changing all the time. You're no longer using this drug now. They find out, they've done new research, they've found this medicine works now. So you are constantly having to do that. So being up to date is part of that, being successful as a vet, because you then are up to date with your knowledge and not working with 1994 information in 2025. So I can attribute it to I can't not just attribute it to professional development, but I would say there are some foundational values, and also I would say beliefs as well, like just beliefs that I grew up with, right, that have helped me. Core values of, being empathic and being compassionate to other people as well. I was raised to work hard and also to give my best in whatever I do. So that, I feel, has then resulted in me being resilient in the challenging career that I'm in, being able to stand the long hours, being able to deal with clients when they're emotional, help them to understand when it's time to depart with their pets. So yeah, the naturalness of that, I feel that I've been blessed with. So it comes natural. It's helped with my success. Then secondly, like as a young vet, I had mentors that have definitely helped me like in the early stages of my career, and they helped me like find my footing, like my footing in the career, my colleagues that I work with every day, because sometimes when you have a difficult case, you can get a second opinion, you can chat with your colleagues. So working in a team like that has helped, in that success, because you realize you are, no man is an island. One of my mentors used to say, "Z, stop trying to be the Holy Spirit. Try to be everywhere at the same time for everyone," because that's the things that I used to do, like just thinking that I need to be at work 24/7. I need to be there for everyone 24/7. So those mentors, they really help to guide me in how to also try to strike that work-life balance. And yes, the teamwork, I feel that has helped a lot in contributing to my success as well. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing your story and enjoying nature while at it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really good to. I don't think I've had an episode where it was
It's out.
filmed exactly out like this. Like
Yeah.
the most outside we could have was probably maybe outside someone's home, like maybe in front of their house, but not
Yeah.
nature like this. So I mean,
Nature.
having to hear your story and of course enjoy nature as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank you so
for
much
that.
also for allowing me to share my story.